that? I got a guitar to sell, gotta sell it fast, gotta do it now. How do I do it? Well, I could list it myself on eBay or Reverb. Nah, it's too pricey. It'll just sit. The economy, man. I could pay Trogly some money on his website. He could advertise it for me. No. Proven results, who wants that? Brilliant! I'm gonna make a crap ton. Welcome back, troglodytes, to Would You Rock or Not? Oh man, did somebody fail marketing class? I had a few people send this to me and I couldn't help but get a chuckle. 100th anniversary limited edition Gibson Les Paul Supreme 2015. And this is literally their leading photo. Their $6,000 guitar sitting on top of their toilet. At the very least, we can say is it's a clean toilet. Even if I was in the market for this particular guitar, which for the right price I am, I don't think I would want to buy it because it's sitting on a toilet. But did he really fail marketing class, or did he get an A+? Because I would have never talked about this listing today if it wasn't for this ridiculous leading photo. But when somebody questioned why it was on his toilet in his playing demo, this is how he responded. Some of my best compositions come to me in that room. So I think this is purely an authentic photo of where this guitar probably just lives. Now there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not something you put in your for sale ad. So thanks, man. Thanks for a good chuckle. I'll put a link to his listing down in the description, but let's go ahead and learn about this strange guitar from 2015. So this is a Les Paul Supreme. The 2015 run of Supremes are actually quite different from all the other mid-2000s that most people are accustomed to. However, spec-wise, they are very similar. So let's go ahead and dive into this deeper. First off, you could find these in two different finishes. Toilet water green, Seafoam Green, and Heritage Cherry Sunburst in a rim burst. And just like any other Les Paul Supreme, they have a carved flame maple top. And they were pretty high grade tops. I think Gibson graded them a quadruple A. I mean, they're pretty nice here. But also to regular Supreme specs is this. They actually have a flamed maple back, but it's not like the Super Custom and the Les Paul that I've showed you guys before. These are actually a carved back, kind of like how a violin is formed, also similar to a front of a Les Paul. So you've got a carved front and you've got a carved back. That's just a little bit weird, but that's how Supremes are. But you're probably wondering, we've got knobs right here. Notice how they're kind of special. They've got like a mother of pearl and brass/gold thing going on, but where is our control cavity? It doesn't exist on a Les Paul Supreme. This is why Les Paul Supremes are not highly sought after by people that like to modify their guitars, because they wire them through the side of the guitar. That's also why the jack is way larger on this guitar than the other ones. But honestly, with these things sporting $6,000 plus price tags new, I'm surprised they didn't forego this attribute and just wire it through the F-hole like they have to do with 335s. Speaking of F-holes, the next feature that makes this different from other Supremes, we've got F-holes. Even though all Les Paul Supremes are chambered out, most of them don't have these F-holes. That's kind of something else that makes this front super special. And notice, they're bound. That's not something Gibson does all the time. So with the F-holes, these are kind of like a semi-hollow guitar, except for my guess is it would more closely resemble like the Midtown series and how they just chamber out the whole mahogany body instead of bending the sides around. But I haven't actually had one of these in my hands yet. Moving on from there, you have a regular Nashville-style bridge and tailpiece, but you have a gold pickup ring. Now that's just a gold topper that sits on top of the ring. You can find that on like the Lizzie Hale Signature Explorers and a few other guitars. But this pickup set is actually interesting. Bridge is a 492T, which is a pickup, I think I've heard of it before, but it's never really registered in my mind that it exists. So it's gonna sound different from anything else. But take a look at this neck pickup. It's not actually installed into the body. It's a floating mini humbucker. So it just secures to the neck by a bracket. That's borrowed from the jazz guitar world. Other than that, you have your typical custom multiply bound body. And I mean, these things are beautiful. I don't personally like the cherry sunburst finish. I'm more of the Seafoam Green guy. but they're pretty spectacular just right here on the front. But now let's move on to the fretboard. Here's another thing that makes the 2015 Supremes different from the other runs. Supremes traditionally have the Super 400 inlays going all the way up the neck, whereas these guys have an inlay. I don't know, some of you guys might not have ever seen this one before. I was looking at these and I knew they were from some sort of high-end acoustic guitar. My first guess was J200, and I happened to get lucky. Yes, that is where I seen it before. I'm not a big acoustic guy. I don't know if that's where these things originated from or what other models might have used it, but it's definitely not an inlay that you commonly see on a Les Paul. They're kind of cool. I think they look nice with this finish choice. But then, unfortunately, it's a 2015, so that means you're either going to really love this guitar or you're not going to be interested because it has 2015 specs. So that means you're going to have the adjustable 0 fret brass nut. On top of that, you're going to have Les Paul the man himself on a sticker waving at you at the back of the guitar. You're saved from the death scrawl, as people like to call it, but it does have the wider feeling neck to it and there are no fret nibs. Now, if you're not familiar with 2015s, that was a terrible year for Gibson because they put these changes on pretty much every single guitar in the lineup. And that's why it was met with such a backlash. So the neck and fretboard are 0.05 of an inch wider on each side. So that's 1/10 of an inch combined, but that makes these feel more like classical guitars. But some people love them because of that, because they get just a little bit extra space to play. So these things aren't for everybody, but if you dig 2015 specs, I mean, this is a very beautiful guitar. Going to the face of the headstock, you also get a brass truss rod cover that reads Les Paul, and Supreme is inlaid vertically on the headstock. Traditionally, a Les Paul Supreme is a little banner that goes around the globe, which I think those inlays are kind of cool. But there's something stylistically about this one that works. It reminds me heavily of the BB King Lucille, which honestly, looking back and forth between the two, it almost feels like they were trying to do that. But moving on here, the one 2015 feature that it doesn't have is the robot tuners, G4s at this point in time. It came stock with locking Grover tuners, which is beautiful. And it had a mahogany neck. I think it would have been cool to also have a heavily flamed like 5-piece maple neck on these guys too. But these are just kind of quirky guitars with really cool specs that I would enjoy to do a full review and demo on in the future. However, it all came down to this guy putting his on a toilet to get me to talk about it. Now, just because these things were over $6,000 new, they didn't really hold value all that well. The toilet example is asking $6,750. And on Reverb, you can find some heavily discounted ones ranging from about $5,500 for the Seafoam Green. And honestly, if you dig the specs of these guys and like Cherry Sunburst, you can get those a lot cheaper, around $3,000. But all I gotta say is don't be afraid to haggle on these because there's not many 2015 buyers out there. Now you might wonder why I'm not talking about these. It's very important to note that there are two guitars that look very similar. There's one called the Les Paul Supreme Florentine, which has the Florentine cut. You can check out this video to learn a little bit more about those. But if you don't like 2015 specs and you prefer some of the attributes of the original Supremes, these are something else you could also take a look at. So now that we know all about the Les Paul Supreme from 2015, let's go ahead and hear a playing sample. Question left, would you rock a 2015 Les Paul Supreme or not? Leave your answer down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share the video with a friend who would enjoy it, and we will see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.